Everyone, it's Frankie-Lou and Luna. We're out here this morning on this rather frosty morning in southern Alberta, plotting and scheming, right, honey? What are we plotting and scheming? We're plotting and scheming a new garden plot, okay? It's still a couple months away before we can plant here out in southern Alberta. I usually don't do that till the end of May to beginning of June, but I have a whole lot of seedlings going. So even though I have already over 30 raised beds on our little homestead here, every year we try to expand as much as possible into this sort of barren lawn area to make it this land more productive for both ourselves and the animals around us and the honeybees and stuff like that. So that means I'm always building. Okay, now because I'm doing this now, I am saving myself a whole lot of work later. What I used to do before I learned this method was I used to come out and I used to cut the sod to create a new bed. Because living here on the prairies, you really want to make sure that you kill the grass or remove the grass. Otherwise, it's going to be constantly moving into your raised beds. And I honestly have found that, particularly here on my little homestead, the soil has such a heavy clay content that I really have just a few inches of topsoil. So with a raised bed format, yes, it's more work initially, but my goodness, it sure saves me a lot of heartache and I get much healthier plants. I can plant more densely. So please do check out some of my other videos about raised beds if you want to learn more about that. And I'll make some more later. Okay, so for right now, let's talk about this new one. What I'm doing is I'm killing the grass in advance, all right? So that I don't have to cut that sod later. And this is a really lazy, easy way to do it. Another reason I like it is because I'm upcycling materials that would otherwise be thrown away. I have been collecting pieces of cardboard. Big pieces of cardboard. When I go to do my recycling, I just take some recycling away with me as well. And I'm laying this out and I'm slowly building it up to the size that I want. Okay, because what that's going to do, two things. It's going to choke out this grass, all right? And it's also slowly, as that cardboard decomposes, it's actually going to continue to nourish my soil from below. Okay, so I get asked a lot of the time, okay, so how much cardboard do you have to use? Well, there's no such thing in my book as too much cardboard, because we do have a really insidious plant here called quackgrass that will eventually work its way through. So I like to put a really nice dense layer of cardboard down as much as possible. Okay, I am going to be aiming for 4 or 5 layers here. But I will admit that when I've been in a pinch, I've done it with 2, and that does do the trick. So what I'm doing is I'm slowly taking over an area with cardboard. And I'm just placing some scrap wood on top of it for now so that it doesn't blow away. Because that's one of the things that we really have to deal with here in southern Alberta is crazy winds. Which brings up another point. When I'm planning a new garden bed in this area, it's not just about the size of the beds. I find 4x4 is perfect for someone my age and my size because I can easily maneuver around it and plant quite densely and work the soil really well. Another thing I have to plan around is the size of the overall garden plot area. And I base that on another upcycled thing that I use. Okay, so I know this may not be beautiful, okay, but it's fast, free, and it also really helps to protect my plants from the wind. Because as I was saying earlier, we have major windswept plains here. And I find that I need to protect my young plants from wind just as much as I do from animals, okay? The wind is so harsh here that when you're watering, you often see the water evaporating as it goes on the soil because the wind is taking it away so quickly. And when you have a harsh cold wind, having something that even blocks some of it is a huge benefit to my young plants. What this is salvage wood from plants delivered to big box store. Okay, those shelving units, I just pop them apart with my little mallet there, and I have some nice pre-made fence panels. Okay, so what I want to do, yeah, I'm that crazy person you see out in the parking lot with the crowbar and the mallet. That's me. Okay, But it works great for me. These are almost exactly 4 feet long. Okay. Remember how I said I like my beds to be 4x4? See, this is going somewhere, right? I'm going to make this new garden area 16 by 16. And that is usually the size that I do try to expand every year because that's workable for me to get done. And I'm going to be using this as the fencing. So I want to ensure that when I am collecting up my cardboard and placing it out, that I have covered a minimum of 16 by 16 area. And I usually try to bring it out a couple extra feet to try to kill some of the grass around that bed as well. Because as I said, that quackgrass is super insidious. I call it the tapeworm of the gardening field. Okay, so cardboard, layers and layers and layers and layers. Plotting out your size, okay? I make a little graph and I decide what I'm going to be doing inside there. You also want to ensure that you're planning for your rows in between your beds, okay? I used to try to squish everything in close, but I find that once you start putting trellising and stuff up, it makes it hard to maneuver around your garden. So make sure you're giving yourself a good, and I know this is going to sound wasteful, a good 2 feet in between your beds so that you can move around, okay? Because some of these plants are really going to take off and you want to be able to actually work them and get around. Another thing you want to prepare for is what you're going to put in between those rows. So another thing that I do like to upcycle and reuse around here, I'm all about making use of stuff that we already have, okay? That's a huge part of what we do here on the homestead, is feed bags, okay? I've got a lot of these, right? Because I've got chickens and ducks and I do have to get them their food and I buy them in these feed bags. Well, what I do is I just cut these up and I place them down as the weed barrier between the rows of each of my beds that I create, and I put wood chips on top of that. That really helps, okay? I have found over the years that having something in between the beds to help stop that crazy crabgrass and some of the other weeds to come through is helpful. And I'm not going to go out and buy black fabric that lasts the same amount of time as these bags. Yes, I'm not lying. These will eventually decompose, but I found that if I get to them, they last usually about 2 to 3 seasons. I just check on them frequently, and when I start to notice that they are starting to disintegrate, I move the wood chips over, pull them out, and put a fresh one down. Okay? Cost me nothing, reusing something I already have, and honestly, it does work great. I've found, I like working with this more than that black fabric. Okay? So, yeah, this is one of the ways that we do our beds here. It might seem crazy to be planning it now, but it is 2 months away, and you do want to give that cardboard a chance to really choke out some of that grass. If I really had been planning, I would have started this in the fall, and I have done that before, but I didn't know where I was going to expand this fall, so I'm doing it now. And it's just going to make my life so much easier when I get the dirt here and I start building up these beds. Okay, so that was a lot, I know, but please don't hesitate to ask questions if there is something I didn't cover with my raised beds here. And I'm actually very horrified by the price of lumber this year, so I might actually do another salvage project and create these raised beds out of river boulders because we have so many around here. They might not be as linear as my wooden beds. Another thing I want to see is how well the boulders will retain some of that heat, and maybe that might be the way I go from now on. That's something I'm really about here, is experimenting every year and seeing if there's new practices that I can start using that won't just save me money, but they'll also, it might be something that's going to help my plants in the long run. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Please subscribe if you're interested in seeing some of the other stuff we got going on here, because there is a whole lot going on here right now. And as always, I hope you'll take this chance to grow together today. Have a good one.